There is a kind of woman who moves differently through the world. She does not always announce her strength with loud words, yet her presence carries weight. People may not understand her, may even misjudge her, but something about her feels rare. These are often called chosen women, not because they are better than others, but because their journey is deeper, more intense, and more purposeful. Their lives are shaped by trials that refine them, not break them. Their character is formed in silence, patience, resilience, and faith. Many of these women grow up feeling different, sensing early that they are not meant to follow the crowd. They question more, feel more, and see beyond surface-level reality. This can be lonely, but it also becomes the foundation of their power. What makes them special is not always visible on the outside. The real signs are hidden in their mindset, their behavior, their spirit, and the way they respond to life's challenges. Chosen women often go unnoticed by the world because their greatest qualities are not flashy. They are not defined by appearance, popularity, or loud success. Instead, their uniqueness is written in their discipline, their intuition, their compassion, and their inner strength. They are the ones who survive what should have broken them. They are the ones who keep believing even when life feels unfair. They are the ones who grow in silence while others underestimate them. These marks are not given to everyone. They are developed through pain, reflection, patience, and purpose. If you have ever felt like you don't quite fit in, if you have felt called to something greater even when you couldn't explain it, you may recognize these signs within yourself. Let us explore the 9 hidden marks that only chosen women tend to carry. Deep emotional intelligence. Chosen women feel deeply, but they are not controlled by their emotions. They understand them. They observe their own reactions and try to grow from them. This ability to step back and witness their inner world with honesty is one of their greatest strengths. Instead of reacting impulsively, they pause. Instead of being overwhelmed by emotional waves, they study them like a language they are committed to mastering. Over time, they learn the difference between temporary feelings and deeper truths. They learn when to sit with discomfort rather than run from it, and when to speak rather than remain silent. This emotional awareness does not make life easier, but it makes it clearer. They can read the emotions of others without many words being spoken. A shift in tone, a hesitation in speech, a change in energy. These details do not go unnoticed by them. They are deeply perceptive. This makes them empathetic listeners and wise observers. When someone speaks, chosen women often hear what is not being said just as clearly as what is. They understand pain behind laughter. They recognize fear behind anger. They notice sadness behind strength. Because of this, people often feel emotionally safe around them, even if they do not understand why. They notice energy shifts in rooms. They sense when something is wrong, even when everything looks fine on the surface. While others may be distracted by appearances, chosen women trust subtle impressions. They feel when tension enters a space. They recognize when someone's smile is forced. They sense when a situation is unhealthy, even if it looks perfect to everyone else. This heightened awareness can be exhausting, but it also protects them. It allows them to move through life with discernment rather than illusion. This emotional intelligence often comes from experiencing pain early in life, which forces them to mature quickly. Life teaches them lessons before they are ready, and because of that, they develop depth sooner than most. They learn to navigate complicated emotions because they had no choice. They learn to self-reflect because no one else taught them. They become emotionally intelligent because survival demanded it. But instead of letting this early pain break them, it shapes them. Instead of becoming bitter, they become aware. Instead of becoming cold, they become compassionate. They choose growth over resentment. They choose understanding over judgment. They learn that their emotional depth is not a weakness but a rare gift. This is a rare quality. In a world where many avoid self-examination, chosen women lean toward it. They do not fear emotional truth. They respect it, they work with it, and through that process they become powerful in ways that cannot be faked. Comfort with solitude. While many people fear being alone, chosen women learn to value solitude. They do not run from silence, they lean into it. They do not fear empty space, they respect it. Solitude becomes a place where they can breathe without pressure, think without interruption, and exist without performance. It is not loneliness that they seek, but depth. In the stillness of their own company, they reconnect with themselves in ways that crowded spaces never allow. They do not need constant noise, attention, or validation to feel worthy. Their self-worth is not built on applause. They do not require constant reassurance to believe in their value. Instead, their confidence grows quietly, internally, without needing to be witnessed. They understand that external approval is unreliable, and so they choose to cultivate inner stability instead. This gives them emotional independence, which many people never achieve. They can sit with their thoughts, reflect on their lives, and grow in silence. This is not always comfortable. In fact, solitude often forces them to confront truths that are difficult, but they do not avoid this process. They use quiet moments to evaluate their choices, examine their patterns, and question their direction. They grow because they are willing to listen to their own inner voice, even when that voice is challenging. Solitude becomes their place of healing, creativity, and clarity. It is where old wounds are processed instead of ignored. It is where ideas are born. It is where they reconnect with their purpose. In their alone time, they often journal, think deeply, plan their future, or simply rest their mind. This time is not wasted, it is invested. While others seek distraction, chosen women seek understanding. This does not mean they dislike people, it means they are not afraid of themselves. They enjoy connection, but they do not depend on it for identity. They can love deeply without losing themselves. They can be social without becoming performative. They can walk away from crowds without feeling empty. This emotional independence gives them strength in relationships because they do not cling, beg, or shrink themselves to be accepted. Their comfort in their own company is one of their greatest strengths. It allows them to walk away from environments that do not serve them. It gives them the courage to stand alone when necessary. It protects them from settling for less than they deserve. And it allows them to build a life that feels authentic, rather than influenced by pressure. In a world addicted to distraction, a woman who is at peace in solitude carries a rare kind of power. 3. A strong sense of purpose. Even if they cannot fully explain it, chosen women often feel that they are here for something meaningful. There is an inner sense of destiny that follows them, even when they try to ignore it. They may not always have clarity on the exact path, but they feel deeply that their life is not meant to be small, empty, or wasted. This quiet awareness shapes the way they think, the way they choose, and the way they move through the world. They are not satisfied with shallow living. Surface-level conversations, empty routines, and meaningless pursuits leave them feeling unfulfilled. They crave depth. They want their days to carry significance. They want their actions to align with something bigger than comfort or appearance. Because of this, they often feel out of place in environments that celebrate superficial goals while ignoring purpose. They want their lives to matter. This desire is not driven by ego, but by impact. They want to contribute, to inspire, to grow, to leave something better than they found it. Whether through their work, their words, their influence, or their presence, they want to add value. This inner drive makes them thoughtful about how they spend their time and energy. They seek growth, impact, and alignment with their values. They do not want success that costs them their integrity. They do not want approval that requires self-betrayal. They are willing to walk away from opportunities that look good on the outside but feel wrong on the inside. This commitment to authenticity often sets them apart, even when it makes the journey harder. This inner calling pushes them to evolve constantly. They feel discomfort when they stay stagnant for too long. They feel restless when they're not growing. This is not because they are ungrateful, but because they are designed for progression. They are aware that comfort can become a trap, and so they challenge themselves even when growth feels uncomfortable. It makes them leave environments that limit them and pursue paths that challenge them. They outgrow places, people, and versions of themselves. This process is often painful. Walking away from familiarity is never easy, but chosen women understand that staying in spaces that shrink them is more painful than the uncertainty of growth, so they choose evolution again and again. Purpose becomes their compass. It guides their decisions, it shapes their priorities, it influences who they keep close and what they tolerate. Even when life feels confusing, this inner sense of direction keeps them moving forward. And though the path may not always be clear, they trust that their journey has meaning. 4. Resilience through pain. Chosen women are often shaped by adversity. Their strength is not accidental, it is earned. Their depth is not random, it is forged. Life does not always treat them gently, and many of their greatest qualities are born from moments that once threatened to break them. Their stories are often layered with experiences that demanded endurance long before they felt ready. Their lives may include heartbreak, betrayal, loss, rejection, or disappointment. These are not light experiences. These are moments that shake identity, challenge trust, and test emotional limits. Many chosen women have felt the pain of giving their best to people who did not value them. Many have experienced the silence that follows abandonment. Many have sat with grief that could not be explained easily. These experiences leave marks, but they do not define them. But instead of allowing these experiences to destroy them, they use them as fuel for transformation. They refuse to remain victims of their past. They choose to become students of their pain. They ask themselves what each experience is teaching them. They extract wisdom from suffering. They turn wounds into lessons, and lessons into strength. They learn lessons from pain. They learn how to trust their intuition. They learn when to walk away. They learn how to protect their energy. They learn the importance of boundaries. Pain becomes their teacher, not their prison. Each experience deepens their understanding of themselves and the world around them. They grow wisdom from suffering. Over time, their perspective changes. They no longer see challenges as punishments but as processes. They understand that growth is rarely gentle. They develop patience, emotional maturity, and inner stability because life required it of them. This wisdom makes their advice powerful and their presence grounding. Over time, they become emotionally and mentally strong, not because life was easy, but because they refused to give up on themselves. Their resilience is quiet but powerful. They do not always announce their strength. They simply live it. They keep going. They keep evolving. They keep believing in their capacity to rise again. 5. High standards. Chosen women do not easily accept less than they deserve. This is not arrogance, it is awareness. They understand their value, not because someone else told them, but because they worked hard to recognize it themselves. Their standards are not built on entitlement, but on self-respect. They know what it costs to rebuild themselves, and because of that, they protect what they have become. They set boundaries, clear ones, necessary ones. They do not feel guilty for protecting their emotional space. They understand that boundaries are not walls to punish others, but structures to protect their peace. They know that without boundaries, resentment grows, exhaustion builds, and identity fades. So they choose clarity, even when it is uncomfortable. They walk away from disrespect, not because it is easy, but because staying would cost them more. They do not argue for basic decency. They do not beg for consistency. They do not chase people who make them feel small. Walking away is an act of self-preservation, not pride. It is their way of saying, I value myself too much to remain where I am not valued. They choose peace over chaos. They do not glorify emotional turbulence. They do not find excitement in instability. They understand that real connection feels calm, not confusing. They seek environments where their nervous system can rest, not where it is constantly triggered. This choice often separates them from people who thrive on drama. This can make others label them as too much, too picky, or difficult, but in truth, they simply know their worth. Society often pressures women to shrink, to tolerate, to compromise themselves for acceptance. Chosen women resist this conditioning. They refuse to become smaller for the comfort of others. Their standards protect their energy, their time, and their emotional well-being. They understand that everything they allow teaches others how to treat them. So they are intentional, they are selective, they are careful, not because they are closed off, but because they are conscious. 6. Strong intuition. There is an inner voice that guides chosen women. It is not loud, not dramatic, and not demanding, but it is consistent. It speaks quietly through feelings, impressions, instincts, and subtle awareness. Many chosen women have learned that this voice is often wiser than logic alone. They may not always be able to explain why they feel something, but experience has taught them that ignoring this inner guidance often leads to regret. So they learn to listen. They often just know when something is right or wrong. It may come as a calm certainty or an uneasy discomfort. Sometimes it appears as hesitation, sometimes as peace. Over time, they begin to recognize these signals as guidance rather than confusion. They realize that intuition is not fear, but clarity. It is not anxiety, but recognition. And the more they trust it, the stronger it becomes. Their intuition helps them avoid danger. They sense when situations are unsafe, when conversations are dishonest, when intentions are impure. This awareness does not come from suspicion, but from perception. They notice inconsistencies in behavior. They recognize when words and actions do not align. They feel when something does not sit right in their spirit. Because of this, they often walk away before harm happens, even when others do not understand their decision. Their intuition also helps them recognize dishonesty. They can sense manipulation behind charm. They can detect insincerity behind compliments. They can feel when someone is wearing a mask. This does not make them cold, it makes them discerning. They still believe in people, but they trust their awareness more than their hope. They understand that not everyone who smiles means well, and they learn to protect their heart with wisdom instead of walls. They also sense opportunities. Intuition does not only warn, it guides forward. It nudges them toward paths they would not have chosen logically. It encourages them to take risks that later prove necessary. It draws them toward people who feel aligned with their growth. Often the best decisions of their lives begin as quiet inner promptings that they choose to trust. They trust this inner guidance more than external noise. In a world full of opinions, pressure, and expectations, chosen women learn that too many voices create confusion. So they learn to return inward. They ask themselves how they feel rather than how they are expected to feel. They choose alignment over approval. This does not make them stubborn. It makes them self-aware. Over time, this intuition becomes one of their greatest tools for navigating life wisely. It becomes sharper through experience. Every time they listen to it and see the outcome, their trust deepens. Every time they ignore it and face the consequences, their respect for it grows. Eventually, intuition becomes not just a guide, but a companion, a compass, a protector, and in a world that often rewards blindness, A woman who trusts her inner knowing walks with rare wisdom. 7. Natural leadership energy. Even when they do not seek attention, chosen women often influence others. Their presence speaks before they do. There is something grounded about the way they carry themselves, something steady in their energy. People notice them not because they are loud, but because they are authentic. Not because they demand recognition, but because their integrity creates it naturally. People feel inspired by their presence. This inspiration does not come from perfection, but from sincerity. Chosen women do not pretend to be flawless. They are real. They are honest about their growth. They are transparent about their humanity. And this honesty makes others feel safe. It makes others feel understood. It makes others feel seen. People also feel comforted by their words. When they speak, there is often intention behind it. They do not talk simply to fill space. They choose words carefully. They listen deeply. They respond thoughtfully. Their conversations feel grounding rather than draining. People often come to them not for advice alone, but for peace. They motivate others by their example. They do not preach growth, they live it. They do not demand respect, they embody it. They do not force change, they inspire it. Watching them overcome challenges, hold boundaries, pursue purpose, and remain authentic encourages others to reflect on their own lives. This is influence without force. They lead quietly through integrity, consistency, and authenticity. Their leadership is not built on dominance, control, or ego. It is built on character. They show up even when no one is watching. They keep their word. They treat people with fairness. They do the right thing even when it costs them. This consistency creates trust, and trust creates influence. They do not need to dominate. Their energy naturally commands respect. They do not interrupt to be heard. They do not compete for attention. They do not shrink themselves to make others comfortable. They simply exist as they are, and that authenticity carries authority. People listen when they speak because they know there is substance behind their words. Often, chosen women do not even realize the impact they have. They move through life thinking they are simply being themselves, unaware that others are watching, learning, and drawing strength from their presence. Their leadership is organic, not intentional, and because it is rooted in sincerity, it is far more powerful than any title could ever be. A heart that still believes in goodness. Despite everything they may have experienced, chosen women often retain a soft heart. This softness is not weakness, it is courage. After pain, betrayal, disappointment, and loss, many people harden themselves as protection, but chosen women make a different decision. They refuse to allow the world to strip them of their humanity. They still believe in kindness, not because they are naive, but because they are intentional. They know cruelty exists, yet they choose compassion anyway. They understand that life can be harsh, yet they still offer gentleness. This is not ignorance, this is strength of spirit. It takes far more power to remain kind in a world that teaches bitterness than it does to become cold. They still believe in love, not fantasy, not illusion, but real, grounded connection. They understand that love requires boundaries, discernment, and self-respect. Yet they do not close their hearts completely. They do not punish future connections for the mistakes of the past. They continue to believe that healthy connection is possible. They believe in growth. They believe people can evolve. They believe healing is real. They believe change is possible. Even when they have witnessed the worst sides of human behavior, they still hold space for transformation. This belief keeps them hopeful rather than cynical. They believe in possibility. They do not see life as finished just because it was once painful. They do not see their story as broken beyond repair. They continue to dream. They continue to imagine better. They continue to envision futures that reflect joy, peace, and fulfillment. They do not allow the world to harden them completely. They learn discernment, but they do not lose compassion. They learn boundaries, but they do not lose empathy. They learn caution, but they do not lose faith in goodness. Instead, they balance wisdom with compassion. They become both soft and strong, both gentle and grounded. This ability to remain hopeful in a harsh world is a rare and beautiful mark. It is easy to become bitter. It is easy to close off. It is easy to give up on goodness. But chosen women choose differently. They carry light without becoming blind. They carry kindness without becoming vulnerable to exploitation. They carry hope without becoming unrealistic. And this balance is what makes their presence healing. Continuous self-improvement. Chosen women are always evolving. Growth is not something they do occasionally. It is a lifestyle. They understand that becoming their best self is not a destination, but a process. They do not believe in perfection, but they believe deeply in progress. Every season of their life is shaped by reflection, learning, and intentional development. They reflect on their behavior. They do not avoid self-examination. They are willing to ask themselves difficult questions. They consider how they show up in relationships. They evaluate their emotional patterns. They analyze their reactions. This self-awareness allows them to grow rather than repeat the same cycles unconsciously. They work on their mindset. They understand that their thoughts shape their reality. So they challenge limiting beliefs. They confront inner narratives that were shaped by past wounds. They actively choose healthier perspectives. They understand that healing begins internally before it ever shows externally. They seek knowledge, healing, and growth. They read, they listen, they learn, they observe. They invest time into understanding themselves better. Whether through personal development, spiritual growth, emotional healing, or intellectual learning, they are committed to expansion. They do not see growth as a burden, but as a responsibility. They do not blame everyone else for their problems. They take responsibility for their transformation. This is one of their most powerful qualities. They understand that while they may not be responsible for what happened to them, they are responsible for how they heal from it. They refuse to remain stuck in victimhood. They choose empowerment instead. This commitment to becoming better, not bitter, sets them apart from many. While others allow pain to define them, chosen women allow pain to refine them. While others use their past as an excuse, chosen women use it as motivation. While others remain stagnant, chosen women evolve. They understand that growth is uncomfortable. It requires honesty. It requires discipline. It requires patience. But they are willing to do the work. They are willing to face their shadows. They are willing to challenge themselves, because deep down they know that their evolution is not only for themselves, but for everyone they will impact along their journey. If you recognized yourself in these marks, understand that you are not alone, and you are not imagining your depth. Your journey may be difficult, but it is meaningful. Your sensitivity is not weakness, it is awareness. Your solitude is not loneliness, it is preparation. Your standards are not arrogance, they are self-respect. Keep growing, keep healing, keep trusting your path. This is the Woman of Light channel. If this message reached you at the exact time your heart needed it, that is not coincidence. If you found value in this message, don't forget to subscribe for more content that speaks to your spirit and your growth. And for those who truly received this at the perfect moment, type 11 in the comments section as a symbol of alignment and divine blessings. Thank you for watching.